background noise, so I'm just going to leave my car running. So I listen to audiobooks, and uh, it's one way that I can satisfy my urge to read. I don't often, as much as I would really like to, read books. I used to be a voracious reader, but I often, in the last 10 years, my tendency has been to do audiobooks, which is often pleasant because the reader that's often employed by the audiobook company is outstanding. And I'm particularly fond with of there's an old guy by the name of Robert Inglis who originally did the audiobooks for Lord of the Rings. Outstanding reader. And then more recently, Andy Serkis has come out with his Lord of the Rings. Again, outstanding. And of course, benefiting from the music from the soundtrack of the Lord of the Rings movies. And Harry Potter, I forget the name of the guy who read the Harry Potter series, outstanding. And that really adds to the flavor of the book experience. But one of the, and to kind of go on with my point, I just finished listening to the audiobook of Pride and Prejudice. And Jane Austen movies mostly, I have been introduced to, you know, probably again like 10 years ago, and have continued to enjoy those books quite a bit, or these movies. That's the delivery going by. And one of the things that I regret though is when I get to the end of the book. I get to the end of the book and I get this profound sense of sadness because I've spent hours and hours with these characters. And even though they're not real, I feel the loss of their relationship. Whether it's a fantasy book series, like I just listened to the series by Christopher Paolini called the Inheritance series, or it's a historical piece like Pride and Prejudice. I get invested in these characters, and then they're gone. And I feel like this sense of loss, like I'd like to continue my relationship. And in part, it's because they are people, even though they're fake, you get to know the inmost details of them as characters. You get to know their thoughts, their feelings, their dialogue in a way that you wouldn't know people in your own life on a daily basis. And frankly, we have so many distractions, including things like this, that prohibit us from really knowing people and having meaningful conversations and understanding people's perspective. By the way, one of the things about Pride and Prejudice is that there are so many presumptions made about people in that story, skillfully woven by Jane Austen, that end up, for the most part, being resolved, fortunately. And, there's always this resolution that occurs in her books, skillfully brought about. But it makes you realize that there's so much misunderstanding in the communication of the people that you see because you get to know these characters so intimately, and we don't often get that in our real life. We don't get a chance to know the inmost thoughts, concerns, understanding of people, and then we listen to them, or we interact with them, and we have preconceived judgments upon them that sometimes are not justified or not accurate, and and that's a shame. And I think one of the things that I long for in books, and I think I have a daughter who's particularly of the same mindset, is you long for resolution and reconciliation of relationships, and some kind of closure that might occur between people who maybe had some wrong between them, misunderstanding, and I think there's a good biblical precedent for that And I know I come back to this quite often, but it's such an important theme biblically that the purpose of Christ coming was to make us right with God and right with each other. A the outpouring of God's love in our life, um, Him making things right with us through the blood of His Son, yields a desire and, to some extent, a capability of reconciling relationships here on earth. Not perfect on earth, but it will be perfect in heaven. So much so that we will be presented at the heavenly banquet feast as the bride of Christ, not the brides, not multiple disjointed individuals, but as a unit, united in Christ perfectly, and and with no barriers to those relationships, and no sin in those relationships. And I do look forward to that time. So anyway, just some reflections. Uh, appreciate prayer, if you would. My mother underwent a major neck surgery yesterday, and she has today to recover. She's in a lot of pain. I just talked to her. You could hardly recognize her voice. She's going in for another neck surgery tomorrow. They had to go in through the front yesterday. They're going in through the back tomorrow, and very serious situation for neck stability. Although she seems to be doing well and she's got good care. I like prayer for that, and also prayer of praise. My second oldest daughter turned 24 today, so when I head home, we'll be starting to celebrate tonight for her birthday, and just reconciliation amongst members of my family and extended family. There's not perfect relationships, but neither would I expect that's the case for you either. There's not perfect relationships, but I would pray that you will experience as close to perfection as possible here on earth with the limitations that we have in our capabilities of understanding and communication. And may you be outgoing in your expressions of love. Also, pray for me in case I don't get a chance to post again before this. Friday, I drive to North Carolina, be presenting a course on Saturday. I haven't done a live course in a while, and I did it for a number of years. Since then, I've gotten up and preached. I was in a play. It's not quite the same as getting up and teaching a course that you're supposed to be the subject matter expert for. I've done webinars, live webinars, but not quite the same as being live performance in front of a live audience. So appreciate your prayer for that. I I generally speak well. I generally have a good time, but I'm also older, and I'm a little concerned about 4 hours of straight teaching. How will my stamina be? And then I'm driving home afterwards. Appreciate prayer for me to convey the information clearly, well, keeping my audience's attention, and mainly for me to have the stamina I need and safe journey. Anyway, that's all I got for today. I hope you have a wonderful day. Read. Don't be afraid to love characters in books, and maybe take from that an opportunity to better love those around you. Because in this social media saturated world, frankly, we just don't know each other like we should. And certainly we don't get to know each other like we would a character within a book. Take care. God bless.